Window types. Spark Structured Streaming provides different types of window functions to handle time-based data series. Tumbling windows are used for non-overlapping, distinct time intervals, ideal for cases where distinct processing windows are needed, such as hourly metrics. Sliding windows overlap and allow data to belong to multiple windows, useful for rolling aggregations like a moving average. Session windows are dynamic and based on user interaction. They start when an event occurs and continue until a specified period of inactivity, making them suitable for tracking user sessions. The choice of window depends on the problem at hand: tumbling for isolated intervals, sliding for continuous calculations, and session for activity-based grouping. So let's look at what this looks like in the code. I created an example of each of these windowing types. First, I create a data frame for testing. What I do is I pretend that I have a stream of events belonging to two different users. So there's a timestamp, there's a value. The value just represents just anything that might be in that record, let's say some user data, but I just put 1 in there so we can count how many ones we get in each window, and we can track how the data flows into each window. And the user is so that we can demonstrate how we can separate out the data belonging to different users with the session window. So let's look at how this works. This part, when I create the test data, I create a data frame. I write it out as a CSV file. Here, and then after that, I read that in. So the whole point of writing it out to a CSV file and reading it in as another data frame is that when you say read stream, you create a streaming data frame, and you need to have a streaming data frame to start doing streaming operations on it. So that's the whole point of writing it out to a data frame and then reading it back in, because you want to be able to read it back in with read stream. So now that we know how the test data is created, let's look at the 3 kinds of demos. The first is for tumbling windows. Tumbling windows are the ones where the windows don't overlap. One comes after the other. This is the simplest type, and they're fixed size. The sliding window type is when the windows do overlap. Like in this case, we have a 5-minute window that slides every 2 minutes. And then the third demo is going to be for session windows, where we're gonna show that if you have data coming in interspersed for different users, it doesn't have to be user, it can be any other kind of session type, then streaming can neatly separate them out. So this is a really useful windowing type as well. So let's just say that first, if we run this, we say run tumbling. Then it's going to show how these are, so that's the initial data frame, right? We're writing, that's our test data. And you guys can see more and more values are collected in these different windows. Like the first batch shows from 05 to 010 and from 10 to 15. That is because these are not coming in order, they're coming out of order. There's also a 00 to 05, but it's in batch 3, so it's just I guess it's just we're not seeing them in order, but in fact these are 5-minute windows, fixed size windows, and they come one after the other. So I think that clearly shows here when one window ends 0005, then the other starts, and then the other starts, and then what it shows here on the right is that it's collecting these values. There are more and more values are coming in, or records coming in, or actually records files coming in into each windowing type. So that was tumbling. That was the simplest type. Now the next one would be sliding. This is more complicated. So we have to pay attention to see what's going on here. Sliding window, with sliding windows, what we will have is 5-minute windows, which are moving by 2-minute increments. So here we have basically they're all 5 minutes, as you guys can see. So 08 to 13, 06 to 11, 10 to 15, and they are moving by 2 minutes. So what you have is a larger 5-minute window, and they're moving by 2-minute increments. So that's the second windowing type. That's a sliding window. The third one would be a session window. Now imagine that you're collecting click data for users using your application, and just coming in on a stream interspersed. So which is kind of what it looks like when you look at this is our wallet. Actually, the way it wrote it, it separated out. The 2 Daves are next to each other, and the 4 Joes are next to each other. But this could be interspersed, so they can come in any order. And then if I run the session demo, then this is going to collect the incoming data. Basically, there's a group by based on the session that you set up, and the session in this case is the user. And once it collected all 6 records, it stops. So these are the 3 different windowing types, and this is how you can use windowing types to work on multiple rows of data in Spark Structured Streaming. Thank you for listening.